Welcome back. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to keep up with the updates. Today we'll be replacing this cab extension on a 1992 Chevrolet S10. You can see the damage there. That's what we'll be replacing, just that cab extension. I have the part here. It's there it is right here. That's the part I'll be replacing. So the existing part has to be cut out. So let's get started. If you notice along the bottom, I've taken a marker and marked the spot welds. That's what I'll be drilling out to get the panel off. I won't do any cutting at the bottom. I'll just get in there, drill those spot welds out. Along the top, kind of drill a line, just a general line where I want to cut at. And what I'll do when I'm doing a panel this large, I'll make me a flange and put a flange behind it, so when I put the panel on top of it, it'll sit down onto the flange. And I'll show you what I'm talking about when I do that. If you're doing a quarter panel or anything that you'll be able to see from the inside of a car, I don't suggest you do a flange, because you'll be able to see the repair. And I might get on the inside of this car. You can see the spot weld, kind of dark over here, but one circle here, one circle here. So that panel is it's not welded over here, it's just spot weld and then seam sealer. So I have to kind of cut that seam sealer, get those spot welds, and that'll come off. This panel has that 3M double-sided adhesive tape for the molding, how they attach it to the vehicle. So I'll just take my eraser wheel. You can get these at like your paint supply store or places like that, and I'll just run it along there to take off all that adhesive before I get started cutting. And just cut that. I'm not gonna take off the bottom, I'm just gonna get it off the top, because if I cut, then it'll be, because I have to apply some pressure, it's gonna want to push it in, and I don't want to distort it any before I weld my other panel back in. So I'm gonna do that right quick. That step is complete. It's all cleaned off, at least on the part that I need to be cleaned off on, and that's what I used to get it off. I went ahead and cut that perimeter around, and I'm starting to take it out. I'm not gonna drill those spot welds out at the bottom. I started to try to drill one right here, and it's walking real bad. I can't get a good angle on it because the truck's on the ground. I decided to leave it on the ground to do this side of the cab corner. So either way, after I'm done, I'll show you how I got these spot welds out after I'm done. It's a faster way to do it. So here we are. I've cut that perimeter out, and I start to peel it back like a can or something. And this is structural support that's behind there, and it has adhesive, so I'm having to put a little force on it to pull it off, but it's coming off. So what I ended up doing is I went ahead and used a spot weld drill, this drill here, and to drill out all my spot welds. You can see where it left the material from this piece of metal. It left some material, and I'll just grind that off and just dress it up before I put the new panel on. But either way, it was going to work out better that way, so I just didn't do it the quicker way or the faster way that I knew how. So it took a little bit longer, and still have to cut up here and take the inside flange out. So that's what I'll do next. I'm going to go ahead and trim around here and trim that using the panel that was taken off as a reference. You can see that the difference in the thickness of that flange. So I'm just going to do a little trimming. I have the panel clamped up in place. What I'm going to do is, you see a line that's drawn across there. That's drawn with a straight edge. That's where I've actually cut the panel behind it. So I go above that line and make a cut all the way across with a cutoff wheel with the 1/16 inch blade, and that's going to give me a 1/16 inch gap when I go to, you know, put my panels back, and it should fit perfectly. So let's do that and we'll see. Okay, so I went ahead and made the cut. I have the cut done. You can see behind it is the little sliver of metal that was cut off. Once I take it off, you'll be able to see how they fit together. And it should be a 1/16 of an inch gap between the two panels. It's been cut and fitted now, and there's a 16th of an inch gap, and it fits perfectly. Over here, it doesn't look like it's going to fit too well, but it is. This was flat, and the piece that this piece right here that I ordered didn't have the right radius. So on this side, I had to put it into a shrinker and shrink, you know, the metal that's on that flange here. I had to shrink that metal to actually get that radius. So over here, you'll see what I'll do when I get to it. I'm gonna have to create a flange that fits behind this, and this will fit over it. So the flange will fit behind the factory panel, and then I will lay this sheet metal on top of it to get that radius. And if I do that, it'll be perfect. Here I have the flanges. They're cut, and they're 16 gauge stainless steel. That's what I had lying around, so I used it. I put holes in this panel. Those are about 3/16 of an inch hole, and the same on the truck body. I drill the holes, but on the truck body, make sure you get behind it, and you know, go ahead and use a file or whatever to deburr it, because your flanges will not sit flat. And this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take that flange, and I've kind of put a little radius in it to pre-bend it, and I'm going to clamp it, and I'm going to weld it to that. And so when I put this panel over it, it has a lip, or you know, flange to mount on, so it won't move around and won't be wavy or do whatever. It's going to work better. Some people use self-tapping screws and whatever else, but I've done this like on jobs where I've had to replace the panels on like collision work. You have to cut it out or whatever. I did it on an avalanche, and I'll try to put a little slideshow at the end of this video to show you what I did on that. But it was black. I had to paint it black. That was the color of the vehicle, and I found that's the best way to do it, because it helps your flanges, you know, something like that. You make them out of 16 gauge, thicker than the metal that you're going back with, and it helps to absorb the heat. It's almost like a heat sink, and it keeps it from warping, and it gives it rigidity, and it just helps all the way around. Now that the flanges are tacked in, you can see I just did a few tacks to get them to hold them in. I'll go ahead and fit the other panel up and tack it on. So I have it all tacked in all the way around, and that's all I'm going to do on this video. I might make another video. I'm not sure if I'm going to weld the whole seam or just, you know, put a few more nice tacks down and go ahead and use like a lead and just put, you know, lead the seams up and just let it be that. I've done that before also. So because that's a fairly long panel, and it'll warp. Even though I have some heat sink behind it, it'll probably take it could take maybe 2 hours to weld that in, just by, you know, hitting it and letting it cool. Hit it here, let it cool. Hit it down here, let it cool. So I don't know if I want to do that. I might just you know, use lead. But either way, that's the end of this video, and I hope you like it. And if you know anyone that's doing this type of work, you can share it with them, and maybe it helps them. And subscribe if you haven't yet, and you can see more videos. Thank you for watching.